Guys, how's it going? Realm Gaming here, back with another video. Season 4 Dragonflight looks like it'll be dropping on April 23rd. In this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know to get started in the new season. The season's going to change how dungeons work, make them a bit more challenging and rewarding. We're going to revisit all 3 Dragonflight raids. You're going to be able to buy gear, transmog items, and other rewards directly from vendors. You can also upgrade your legendary items to keep them useful, and outdoor activities now give better loot. So we got a whole lot going on in the new season of Dragonflight. Before we get started, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel just to make sure you guys don't miss any future videos. So let's go ahead and start with Mythic Plus. One of the biggest changes in Season 4 is in the dungeon difficulty update. So quite literally everything is going to be harder, but it's also going to be more rewarding. So normal dungeons will stay about the same, and they're going to reward item level 460 gear. And heroic dungeons will still be about as tough as Mythic 0 dungeons used to be, and that's going to reward you 476 gear. So this is going to make casual content more rewarding, and heroic dungeons will matter more for your character's progress. So going back to Mythic 0 dungeons, they're now about as tough as a plus 10 keystone used to be. So they are a lot harder, but there's not any sort of timer or any special affixes or anything crazy to worry about, so you can kind of take your time as you do progress through the dungeon. Now the rewards you get are also a lot better for Mythic Zeros, with item level 493 gear available. So this means you're going to be able to get super good gear even at the lower end of the spectrum. So you can get good gear without having to even step a foot into Mythic Plus dungeons if you don't want to. So of course, after Mythic 0, you have Mythic Plus dungeons, was where you get all the timers, the special challenges, and the rewards that scale up right as you complete harder and harder levels. So the previous Dragonflight dungeons have now all been improved with new checkpoints. There's been some boss changes. There's been some adjustments to kind of make them smoother, a little bit easier to navigate through. So that's going to be very welcome, as they all had their own specific issues. Then we also have Dawn of the Infinite, the mega dungeon. It's going to have a hard mode. So if you were able to complete all the Mythic dungeons, but you aren't ready for Mythic Plus yet, this hard mode is going to offer even tougher challenge with better rewards. So it will be more difficult than just regular Mythic dungeons, but it will reward better gear up to item level 506. So if you don't want to go into Mythic Plus dungeons, this is an option for you as well. So if you are into Mythic Plus dungeons, then there are some changes in Season 4. So compared to Season 3, now we'll have all 8 original Dragonflight dungeons in the pool for Mythic Plus, which at first, it's a bit unusual, but I'm excited to go into these dungeons again myself. With the changes in difficulty, the keystone levels are going down overall. The best rewards will come from plus 10 keys this season, which are as tough as 20 keys used to be. So the main change, of course, is going to be in the number of the key. The player base was really spread out, ranging from anywhere from 0 to over 30. So this is an attempt to kind of condense the player base into a smaller pool so that everybody can kind of play with each other. So the way that affixes are applied to Mythic Plus keys has also been adjusted. So in Season 4, plus 2 keys will have tyrannical and fortified affixes. And that's going to go all the way up through plus 5 keys, which will introduce the next set of affixes. And then 10 keys will have the final set of affixes. So I think this is a great change. It's going to make Mythic Plus dungeons a lot less punishing to get into. I do understand the purpose of affixes, but for me personally, I think that there's something old. I think we should get something more innovative into the game and move past affixes. I do not like rotating between fortified and tyrannical myself, but I do understand their purpose. We'll also introduce a new version of the Armadon mount for those interested in pushing their rating. So this time it's called the Infinite Armadon. So this is going to be coming from the Season 4 Keystone Master achievement, which of course is at 2000 rating. So for raids in Season 4, we are going to be revisiting all 3 Dragonflight raids, which will have significantly higher item level rewards. So each week, one of these raids will be awakened, making the bosses and monsters stronger, but they'll drop, of course, much better loot than they used to. So normal raid gear can reach up to item level 502. Heroic raid gear will go up to 515, and Mythic raid gear can reach up to 528. Whichever awakened raid is open will also drop new tier set tokens. So these tier sets were actually chosen by the community earlier this year. So they're going to have one of the previous 3 tier set bonuses and appearances, but with higher Season 4 item levels, making them, of course, very powerful. So to find out which raid is currently empowered, you can open the Dungeon Journal, look for a special icon. The raid that has this icon is going to be the one that's empowered for the week. So I think this is going to be really cool because this allows you to revisit any old raid bosses that you may have missed before, or just to revisit some of your favorite ones. The legendary items can still drop in Season 4, so you have a chance to get them again if you haven't already. And you can also upgrade these in Season 4 to make them more powerful with the current gear, but we'll discuss that more here in a minute. There will also be new achievements tied to completing all 3 empowered raids on normal difficulty or higher. If you do achieve this, you will earn the Awakening the Dragonflight achievement, and you will also get a Voyaging Wilderling mount as a reward. So for anyone wanting more of a challenge in Season 4, completing all 3 raids on Mythic difficulty will reward you with a Mythic version of the achievement. So this will actually unlock portals for each Dragonflight raid, allowing you to teleport directly to the raid entrance. So it's really useful for in the future if you want to come back and farm transmog or mounts. So that can be extremely useful. So Season 4 is also going to introduce some gear vendors, similar to those that we saw in the Shadowlands Faded season. You will be able to purchase raid loot directly from any boss in all 3 raids. That's going to include like trinkets, weapons, and rings, and these can also be upgraded as well. You can also purchase a special upgrade called the Scales of Awakening from these vendors. There's one for each legendary item, and these are just going to simply boost the item level of your legendaries. So once you use the item on them, then you'll just simply use flight stones and crests similar to any other gear to boost them further. So legendaries are still very worth it to get. So for transmog, if anyone's interested in collecting transmog items, there's a vendor selling transmog marks for every weapon type found in the raid, available in various difficulties and colors. So these transmog items are cheaper than actual gear pieces. So if you want to expand your transmog collection, you can spend your bullions on them. So all of these vendors are going to be using a new currency called Antique Bronze Bullion. And we don't have a ton of information on it right now, but we do know that you can collect up to 20 of these. We're not really sure how to acquire these yet. I have heard that you can get them from the weekly Mythic Dungeon event. So this quest will reward 2 bullions. But from what I'm hearing, at least from other sources, that's all we know about this for now. We're also getting some updates to the outdoor world content as well. There will be a new weekly quest to pick up and complete, and this is going to guide you to a specific area from previous patches, and that's going to just depend on whichever raid is empowered for that specific week. So this is really cool because this should also apply to world bosses, and those world bosses should have their item level rewards scaled up. So while these areas are empowered, any content that usually drops high item level gear will now drop veteran gear at item level 480, which can be upgraded all the way up to 502. So this can be a good source of catch-up gear if you do enjoy any sort of outdoor world content. Certain vendors also have their rewards increased, like the Time Rift vendors and the Dream Surge vendor that give out epic items. So even more opportunities to get gear upgrades there. One thing to also note is on the weekly quests, they will reward you things like flight stones and crests, and they will also contain gear and equipment. Now, the major reward from these weekly quests is the Season 4 crafted gear updates. In Season 4, we will use Sparks of Awakening to craft or upgrade our crafted gear into item levels 489 to 502 initially. Then we can use Worm Crests to boost it to 515 and then Aspect Crests to 525. You can also earn your spark by completing weekly PvP quests. This will allow you to only get 1 spark reward per week from these quests. But that does kind of segue us into PvP updates. So it sounds like PvP updates will be pretty similar to previous seasons. There will be a new iteration of gear with higher item levels through honor and conquest points. There will also be new rewards to earn, like the Vicious Dream Talon mount and the Season 4 Gladiator mount and title. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and we will see you on the next one.